Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again on a very special day. It's Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas to you and all. Some people wondering why you're putting out a video on Christmas Day. Well, like myself, some people might not have family over or family left or whatever, might be spending a quiet evening alone at home and have no company. So let me be your company for a little while. I have a couple things to get to, a couple things to talk about, a little milk container rant, and maybe we'll get to a screwdriver restoration. So let's get started and have a Christmas celebration here down the shop. Okay, next up in my shop, there are a couple unsung heroes that I use all the time that I really couldn't do without down here. One of them is the humble Q-tip. I use Q-tips quite a bit down here, as you know. I use them all the time, and I keep them in this little jar to get to, keeps them clean, because otherwise they'll attract all kinds of dust or whatever. Another item that I use a lot, and I remember last time I bought them, I bought a couple hundred in a package, and that's these ice cream sticks. I use these so many things. When I'm cleaning electric motors or something, I split the stick down here and make a scraper. And that's why this time, I think I bought 1,000. I think there were 1,000 here. Anyway, this should be, for me, probably a lifetime supply. For most of you, probably not, but definitely for me, this should be it. But I don't know. You never know. I go through them quite a bit. But what I do is now I store them. I use a jar. And this jar is from apple butter. You ever have apple butter? I get this at ShopRite, their own brand. It's called Bowl and Basket. They make it's called apple butter, and there's no butter in it. It's apples and cinnamon. It's a spread. They big into Amish country. They make it and sell it. So if you ever try or haven't tried Amish or any kind of apple butter, it's really good. I think you'll like it. So what I do is I'll put the sticks in here. And there we go. I'll keep 2 down here, 1 in the attic. And as you can see, this is a great way to store the sticks. If you need them, they're easy to pull out, and they're great for mixing up glue, epoxy, which I do all the time, and it keeps them nice and clean, ready for the next use. So if you don't have any of these, pick up some. They're fantastic. Next up, I have a kind of a quick story to talk to you about. Every once in a while, I like to put a little half and half, which is half milk, half cream, and coffee. And I went to get some at the store, and they were out of it. And the funny thing is that it was I wanted to have it that night, and they were out, so I quick grabbed this. I looked at it, checked out the ingredients, and it's cream with sugar in it. I said it's a coffee cream or whatever. I took it, right? And I took it. I was very happy with the product. I'll get into that in a minute. But it made me think when I got home and I was using this a couple times. It made me think about the evolution, the containers that milk came in. Now, me being born in the early 60s, most of the milk containers I had were the wax-covered paper containers that, they still use today, although they're slightly different. Before that, they had glass bottles. You remember the glass bottles? And, before that, I guess they came in pails and buckets and whatnot. But I was thinking about that. I was saying, the milk, if you've ever had milk from a glass bottle, it's a wonderful thing. And we used to have a dairy place here, S&S Milk Distributors here in College Point, and they used to have bottled milk. You can buy it in glass bottles, and it was like the old type. They had the foil cap on it, and I could swear that the milk tasted better out of those bottles, and it was interesting. But the paper containers, the wax-coated paper containers, they ruled for years. And it was funny. You had to open it from one end. There was one end that you opened it from. And if you opened it from that end, it created kind of a pouring spout. But if you opened it from the other end, it was like everything got all messed up. The thing was, and you could always tell when somebody mangled up a milk container and opened the wrong end. Because that used to irk me. If you went in to get milk and you saw that somebody opened the wrong end, and it was like, it just looked horrible. Anyway, for years we went with that. And that plastic, that wax-coated paper was actually very good. It maintained the flavor of the milk, and also it didn't leach too many chemicals into the milk like these current plastic containers, which I can't stand, most of them. when the plastic milk containers first came out, I don't know if you remember this, they were much thicker. They almost had the consistency of a laundry detergent bottle. They were thick. They held their shape, you know. But the containers that they have today, and let me show you. Now I have water in here, but it's the same type of container. And what annoys me is that, you know, things should be getting better as we progress, you know, in life. I mean, cars have become more reliable, even though they're definitely not more comfortable or roomy or anything, but they are more reliable. I can understand, but things are at least getting better in some respects as far as reliability. But when it comes to like containers, like plastic containers, you know, they've gotten so thin and cheap. They're trying to reduce the amount of plastic they keep dropping. You ever see a water bottle today? When the first plastic water bottles came out, they were thick, you know, you could squeeze them, but now the plastic is so cheap. It is almost, when you hold it, there's no pleasure in holding that bottle. You look at your bottle and you say, where have we gone? And it's the same with this, you know. When milk containers first came out, they had a screw-on cap. Now, you know, they've had these for some time, the press-on caps, and, you know, I know it's people say, well, what's a big deal? It's just chintzy and cheesy, and there's a big seam that runs down the inside of this handle that you touch. It's everything that we do today there's nothing satisfying in our everyday activities. And for example, here is I have a funny story about this. This is years ago, when you used to get milk, they had two bottles. They had the big bottle, which was the glass bottle that milk came in that. And then they had a smaller bottle like this that the cream came in. This was cream would come in this. And what a nice bottle, right? You would peel the top off. It came with a kind of a paper top. The cream was in there. And I found this bottle, you know, when one of my pets died, and I had to dig a grave in the backyard. And when I was digging the grave to bury the dog, I found this bottle in there, and it was obviously caked with dirt and everything, washed it out. And it's still good, you know. Can you imagine that? After, this got to be close to 100 years old, but this was a Borden cream bottle. But a lot of people do collect these bottles. But I'm digressing. Let me get back to the whole reason I started was to talk about this. Now, as much as I enjoyed the old glass bottles that milk came in and things, I understand why they went away from it. The weight of it, the transportation, the fragility, if it should break or whatever. I understand all those things, but it was still a pleasurable experience to have a glass bottle. But same thing with soda. Soda always came in glass. When I was looking at this container, I gotta tell you, I was a little impressed, because a lot of the junk today that comes out, they're all they're meant for one-time use. But I said, look at this. This is whoever invented this took some time to think about this. And I just want to break it down for a minute and what we have here. First of all, the ergonomic design. Ergonomic, and if you hold it here like this, it fits well in the hand that it won't slip out. It's got like a little lip here. Very nice, right? The way this is curved aids in the pouring. So again, well designed. This cap here, when you flip it up, okay, it's a up and down affair. It's got a pour spout, which gives you a beautiful pour when you pour this. Also, it's got a nice hinge. Again, it's not a pinned hinge, but it'll last more than enough for the life of this container. So very nicely done. It's a screw top, and when you unscrew it, not that you would during your use, but look at the thread design on the double seal here. I mean, whoever thought about it, whoever designed this, put some time into here. No matter how many times you take this on and off, you know, it winds up that this will line up correctly with the front spout, that when you hold it here, that's just ingenious, you know? So what do you think of this container? Again, like I said, I was very happy with the product, you know, because you don't know. I bought it, and it was good. It don't have a lot of chemicals in it, you know. It's basically milk and cream and some sugar or whatever, but it was the container. What do you think about that, huh? Do I overthink things, or is that something that's pretty interesting? Okay, next up, last week in a wildly popular episode, we spoke about screwdrivers and how many you had and whatnot. And one thing I want to do today, first of all, I want to take care of this one here, but when we talk about having different screwdrivers, it's not because they're all the same. It's not like you have 50 of the same screwdrivers. They're all different. They all have their own personalities or handle lengths or whatever the case may be. As you know, if you watch this show, I'm kind of a partial to square shank screwdrivers because I think they're stronger. I just like them. However, usually if you notice, at the tip of the grind here, okay, you'll always see the grind comes down and there's a triangle that's formed, okay? And on top, I'm saying, it's a square, but it's a triangle on top. So in other words, if you were to pry with this edge would be on whatever you're prying. So for general purpose work and a lot of prying and stuff like that, I prefer, and they're hard to find, you know, we usually find them on the wood handled square shank screwdrivers, where the shank comes flat and then goes into the blade flat here. Not this way, sorry, not this way, but this way. It would be flattened down. Similar to this, my regrind here that I've used and reground for so many different screws, but you see what I mean? So, and this is the way pry bars come. A lot of pry bars will come that way. They're flat, so you could pry. This is a scraper, but same thing. So if you come across a screwdriver that isn't, you know, with the point up, save that, because that's good to have. So, but I use these all the time, and today, these are some older restorations here, but this one I just wanted to clean up today and address the tip. We'll talk about more. You see that tip? Now, because of the size of these screwdrivers, a lot of times these tips, it's a weird thing. And you know, I like a parallel tip, you know, and a hollow ground, what we call, and you can see this one's even bent. I'll show you what that looks like. Here's a beautiful Pittsburgh, I forget who sent this to. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But this was sent in by a viewer, and I forget who it was now. I got to start writing the names on. But look at the beautiful grind. And he says he uses these a lot. And he goes through them once in a while. But it's true. Look at that beautiful hollow grind on that screwdriver tip. This thing, and he said they're inexpensive. So if you get, it's a great screwdriver. At Pittsburgh, there's the model number and the size. Can you see that? There we go, focused in. You see? And Phillips 6.0. What a nice, this thing fits just like a glove. So many screws, and it's, even though it's a exchangeable tip, you know, reversible, it's not the tip that comes out. I really like it. So anyway, that's what I want to do. I want to put a hollow grind on here, clean this up a little bit, just clean up the handle. Again, another user, so let's go. Well, I have the machines out to do that one. I also have this Miller's Falls. Now, this one was ground down. You could see here how thick that tip is. It was ground for something. Somebody was using it for something, but it doesn't fit anything I've tried. Every time I grab this, I'm disappointed. It has to be thinned out. So while I have the machines out today, I'll thin out the top of that. Remember what that looks like. Miller's Falls. That cutoff wheel always does a wonderful job in taking the tip off. Now you can see where we're at. We are still very thick at the tip, and we have to thin it out. Now to thin it out, I like using the belt sander. And you know, you see the sparks flying off there. That's because it's tempered very hard. Now, you don't want to lose that temper, so you got to make sure that you go very lightly. Let the abrasive of the belt take off the metal, not pressing against it. So it might take you a little while. It might take you a few minutes, but go back and forth and always feel the tip of the screwdriver with your fingers to make sure you're not getting too warm. Have a bucket of water there, and if it ever feels like it's too hot to touch, right away go into the water, and this way you won't lose your temper and you can get it down to where you want. Okay, we're going to work on the handle now. My hands are kind of tied on this one because there is a name on here. It's a crescent. But you can see it's got some gouges. You know, now I could take these out, but it will change the profile and get rid of some of the lead. I just want to make this a user, you know, but nice, clean. And we got the shaft nice, we got the tip nice. I'll show you that in a minute. So let's just do the handle. And to do that, I'm going to go through the abrasive pad sanders, coarse down to fine, and then hit it up with a little Plastex polish. My Plastex container broke because it's made of Plastex. However, the polish is excellent, so let's do Okay, we're calling this project done. Boy, this was a lot of fun. And look what we did here. Again, we didn't go nuts. We just made this nice. It's nice and smooth. Polished it out, sanded out, a lot of those things. Took off the black off the alternating ribs. You see that? Took the black off there. Beautiful, right? And, you know, we did the shaft, got all the pits in the rod. Now, look at the tip here. This is something that, you know, we really have to practice. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. That is just, it is so, this is something that looks so easy, but it's so difficult. But here's what you have to do. You have to match it to the screws. Now, this would be a good match for this screw. Look how it fits into the top. You see that? That's what you want. So you might have to grind a screwdriver for a specific job. Years ago, they used to do that all the time. Old timers would have screwdrivers that started off at this long and it would finish up this long because they ground it for each job they did instead of having multiple screwdrivers. Today, we buy 150 screwdrivers. It's just much easier, but that is nice. And here's the other one we did. This one here's the Miller's Falls. I didn't do the handle or anything. I just did the tip, but look at that. Now, this was super thick. Remember how thick that was? I still left this thicker than the other one because I do have screws. Like, look at this beautiful Philister head screw. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. So now you can see how this fits in here. Look at that. Beautiful fit. If you had to do it, you know, this is what you would do for this. Now, again, you would grind them as you need, but didn't that one come out nice too? Look at that. This is just something that you have to practice and you have to stay in practice. So, you know, don't throw away your bad screwdrivers. They can be reground for your choice. Okay, so there we go. Always fun to work on a tool and to practice your skill down the shop. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you have a great holiday. And we will see you again on Wednesday. Take care now. Bye-bye.